September is National Bourbon Heritage Month, and there are lots of different styles of bourbon to try, but getting started can be a little bit intimidating. We're here with John Brockman of Colonial Wines and Spirits with some bourbons that are great for beginners. John, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
So let's get into, before we get into these three categories that you have before us, let's start with what makes a bourbon a bourbon.
First off, for bourbon, it's got to be 51% corn. It goes into a new oak barrel, charred. It's going to wind up coming out no lower than 80 proof. It's going to be there for at least a minimum of 2 years.
Okay.
So that's what gets you your basic bourbon. Anything after that is just a little extra.
Just a little extra to make it a little bit fancy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that we have kind of three categories, and you've said that all of these are great for beginners.
Yes, absolutely. We kind of broke it down, just kind of a low range, mid range, and high range over there. Some of the things we have here, this Jim Beam Black and the Old Forester 100 proof signature. They're great in the 25 to low 30s. You're going to find, this 100 proof here has got a little more heat on it, just more alcohol in it. To me, it provides more flavor than even some of the lower proofs. The mid-range here, your good standbys with the Woodford and the Knob Creek. Again, this is another Jim Beam product. And then some of your higher ends over there, you have your Four Roses Select and your Wood of Jane 10-year.
So if you are beginning to get into bourbon and you're just kind of tasting these for the first time, what are some things that you want to look for when you're taking a sip?
Well, everybody's going to look at that price to begin with, but when you're going off trying these, pick out what flavors are good for your palate.
Okay.
What you'll find with bourbons is a lot of vanilla, a lot of caramel. The older the bourbon, you'll get more woody notes to go with it. And it's all personal preference. It's all what you like.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's good to be able to talk to an expert and know, I'm more of a vanilla person, so what kind of types of bourbon would be best for me?
Yeah.
And so when you're pouring a glass of bourbon, how would you recommend enjoying bourbon when you're getting started?
Any way you want.
Okay.
You can go neat, which is just straight in a glass. You can pour it over the rocks. You can have it in a cocktail. There's no bad way to have a bourbon.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just getting started. If you want to be able to get into it, just again, talk to an expert, pick out what would work best for you in terms of your price point and your flavor profile, and then go from there.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so John, if people want to go pick out their first bottle of bourbon or maybe their next bottle of bourbon, where can they head to, either online or in stores? Yeah,
you can go to colonialwineshoп.com and get us online, or you can come down to 11200 West Markham and come see us in person. We'll help you out.
Perfect. All right, John, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully you find a creative way to celebrate National Bourbon Heritage Month.
Yes.
And, of course, go pick out a good bottle of bourbon. All right, we'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere.